document with a little bit more detail. So this is a biomedical engineering report, and just reminding you that because this is not accessible, I'm not expecting the same level as what you see here. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to post up a sample, but just so that you don't copy everything, what I've done is I've got some, I'm going to call it lorem ipsum. I probably should just use lorem ipsum for everything. What I had done is I had put everything through Google Translate 3 times, and I might just copy that across, and we'll talk about what each thing says. And the whole point is here, it doesn't matter what it actually says, all that matters is what it should say. I just want to see in view, maybe I want to turn off spell checker. I'm not really sure how to do that anymore. View, reference, review, should be in review maybe, show comments. Language maybe. Do not check spelling or grammar. Okay. Maybe need to do that again. Okay. Hello again to Soar on Fire. I don't know who that is, but okay. So I did turn off the proofing language, but it doesn't look like I can make that work. So we're gonna have to accept some lines here. Okay, so what we're gonna say is just first of all, you need to have a title page. You could probably just grab a couple of pictures. You really, if you were lazy, you could just grab this and just use that again. You need to have a table of contents. There's maybe some missing headings here, which is why we've got this as being page 6, because there might have been something there, but the heading. In order to set headings, so if you use, you can see here, if I go here in the Home tab, you can see that I can set my headings as different kinds of things. And the advantage of that is they all look the same. Like, so big headings, level 2 headings, level 3 headings. The big advantage of doing your headings like that is it makes it very easy for you to change everything at once. That's the first thing. But then there's also the other advantage, which is it will automatically make a table of contents. If you go to insert and, sorry, maybe references, review. Okay, if you go to table of contents, you can just insert a table of contents. Things that you can try out, pretty easy for you to find. Okay. G'day. So then what I'm doing is, okay, so what is the purpose of the acetabular cup? What it does is it's the part that goes into the pelvis. Can I really not type that in here? What happened when I paste? Nope, it does not like that. There's too many lines maybe. Can I just copy that part and then I should be able to post. Now, just to show you the way, so like I want to make that just normal text, and then that way I can change all of my text and the spacing of things should all be the same. So like this, you can see it's got different spacing options. So to change your spacing options, that goes here, and I just want to set to 1, but then it's supposed to have, if I don't want to do that manually, I can just say, well, this one here looks right. I just want to copy that. And that should have put in the spacing above. Oh no, that looks like it's the same here. Okay, maybe it doesn't come with a built-in line, but I think there really should be, like, I want to add a space after the paragraph, for instance, something like that. Anyway, the interface, right, it says, well, how does this thing connect, right? That's what we're talking about when we're having interface. I don't know if I need that much detail. I don't know if we need that as a heading. So this time around, I'll just join that all and just have one paragraph is enough. One or two paragraphs is enough for the cup. You don't need to have purpose and interface. It's a good way to focus your assignment, right, if you do it this way. But it's interesting that picture is anchored to this word, and I don't have a good way of getting rid of that. Okay, that'll do. The femoral head. as I'm reading some of this text, I'm like, well, maybe it would be better off if I just used a lorem ipsum. What is a lorem ipsum? See, and that looks different to this. So because I've got different line spacings there and stuff, it can be a bit annoying. Should be able to press normal. They should all be the same. Makes for a real exciting stream. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and rather than using the Google Translate, I'm just going to go. So lorem ipsum is placeholder text, right? So it's something you use when you don't want to have actual English that people are just going to copy or focus on, and so we're just going to go with this one. And once we copy this once, we're just going to use this everywhere from here on. I'll just make it normal. Yeah, they definitely have a different spacing to what I would like. Anyway, we're just going to paste that everywhere now. Okay, so the femoral head. So the liner is a heavyweight plastic that goes inside the cup. We then have the stem. So the purpose of the stem is that it is what goes in the bone, but we can compare different kinds of stems so that there's cemented stems and why they have different values. I'll leave that picture there. The choice of the different interfaces depend on the type of the factor. I'll leave that there, that's fine. Okay, so what is the social benefit? What is the social cost? What are the ethical considerations? In my last video, I talked a lot more about social costs. Sorry, ethical considerations. So I talked about like the cost of end of life. In a video that I'll make later, I'll go through some ethical considerations for biomedical innovations, things like EpiPens, for instance, and how much they cost. So here's some different risk complications. Just having a look. So expenses, ethical consideration. Yeah, that's all fine. They're all reasonable headings. Okay, so alternatives. I said you don't need to do alternatives. I'll put one paragraph in here that should be plenty for alternatives. Okay, so materials. So titanium, so this is what they're saying here is titanium. I'll leave this one in here as what is titanium? It is a readily available material. It's relatively cheap to produce. It cannot be cast. It exhibits a durable passive layer, making it corrosive to resistance. It's lightweight and has a high strength to weight ratio. It is bioinert. That's great. That's exactly what we want. And then now that we know what that looks like, we can now talk about this and this. Okay, you know what? I'll leave in zirconia. I'll give you a bit of a bonus. Okay, manufacturing processes. So there are 4 steps to investment casting. And then there's disadvantages to this, there's advantages to this. What are they? Okay, sintering, also known as powder metallurgy. We talked about this relatively recently, and I'm not going to bother deleting those points for you again. I'm just going to say that you can figure out there's 3 steps to powder. You know what? It doesn't kill me to do this. And then the spacing didn't line up for number 3, so a little bit persnickety, but you know, we're okay. And copy this lorem ipsum again. Okay, so sintering we talked about. At this point, I'm going to delete this part because I expect you to know enough about forging. But so with sintering, we talked about, so the advantage of sintering is that it gives like a very high finish, doesn't need machining. The disadvantage is it doesn't have great strength, is pretty much the summary. We talk about this in the textbook. We don't go into a huge amount of detail in year 11. We cover it in greater detail in year 12. I should, if someone reminds me and they put it on Facebook, they say, hey, can you copy the year 12 section on sintering? I'll post it up if I haven't already. I think I copied it and posted it already, but if I haven't, I'm happy to add that in now. Injection molding, I've said, is a really good question that I like to put in exams. So you should definitely be very familiar with injection molding, and I'm sure I've made that homework. Okay, so I'll leave this one so that you have an idea of what goes in that section. And then this section, we don't need that. Pretty simple. And then, I'm going to even leave the conclusion and recommendation. Now, I'm not saying it's fantastic, but that will do. These are some sketches. You probably should provide your own sketches, but that will do. The bibliography we've talked about in the other video, I mentioned that you can't reference YouTube. You need to reference. Properly. Now, let's say that hip replacement materials best to worst, right? So let's say this is the reference I want to do. Well, how do we add these stuff in? Now, I haven't used Word. There's lots of different ways that you can add in your references. But so what I can do is I can go to references, and I want to manage my sources. I'm going to put in a new source, right? So in my source, okay, so it is a, we'll go with, it's not a journal article, but we'll call it an article in a periodical. And the author of this is, let's just check if they have a website. We would like website. Oh, boom, there we go. That's exactly what we wanted. Now I'm just going to get another window just so I can paste Notepad, just because I'm copying and pasting this here. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so the author is Velez S, right? Now I can type in, so the name is Velez, first name is S, right? Okay, if it's corporate, we can add in a corporate author as well, right? So for an organization, right, like when we get to that, we type in a corporate author instead. So okay, so we're adding that as our author, and we're just selecting, and that is our name, Velez S. Okay, so the name of the web page is hip replacements from best to worst. Okay, and then the name of the website is Bioaccelerator. The year is, we're just going to say that it was the day that we looked at it, 2021. We're not going to worry. You could put in the date that you viewed it in its entirety. So this is the 14th of June. And then the URL. Okay. Okay. So that's our new reference. And we can change the way that that looks, right? So we can have a preview, right? It's going to show us citation. Velez is how it will look when we refer to the document in the in its notes. I'm just interested. It looks like there's maybe a space. No, it's fine. Looks like there's a space in between before. And then in the bibliography or the reference list at the end, it should say this Velez, and that's how that it wants us to do that in APA. So what we can do is when we refer to Velez, right? Let's say we're talking about materials that we talked about this. I don't care enough. Okay, so we're talking about different parts. We're talking about different materials. So in materials, let's say that we're going to refer to Velez. And so what we do is we go to insert, reference, and we go to insert our citation, and we're going to choose Velez. And it puts it in brackets like that. Now there's different ways that we can make it look. I talked about footnotes in the other video. I don't like that there's a space between I don't like that that's there, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then at the end, rather than typing in all of this by hand, what you should be able to do is, I'm going to copy this and paste it in here. Right. What I can do here is at the end, I should be able to put in a bibliography, and then I can do a built-in. It can do as references or bibliography. Doesn't. I don't think it makes much difference. Oh, yeah, it's just a matter of terminologies. Okay, so that's it. That's all our bibliography currently has is Velas. So we're going to add in a new one. We're going to go, this time we're going to add in the video, which we said was, this YouTube video was the American Association of Hip and Knee Surgeries. So let me just show you that in the bottom. Okay, so we're going to insert a new reference, manage the sources. We're going to add in a new one. And what we're going to say is that our author is a corporate author. And we're going to enter in the organization of surgeons. Okay. And then the name of the thing is what a hip replacement's made out of. So edit the citation. Name of, we're going to go web page. So name of the website is on YouTube. And the year that we accessed that was on the 2021. We'll say the same thing, that it was accessed on June 14th. And then the URL. Okay, so I close, and then I have to refer to this somewhere. So let's say that it's in the social benefit, right? Social cost, social benefit. Let's say I put it in here. I go to insert citation, and I say the American Association of Hip and Knee Surgeons with the year, and then that will automatically, or it should automatically. I maybe have to refresh it. Update citations. It now has. It will complete a correctly formatted reference list. And if I want to refer to that thing more than once, if I say that, whenever you make a claim, you've got to think, Wikipedia is very good for teaching people when someone's making a claim that's in dispute. If you said that, well, okay, I would argue that, so titanium is a readily made of material. Estimates, it is estimated that there is over 600 million tons. Okay, so I'll do a new one, right? And I'll say, and this will be where I wrap up. But I'm going to go Wikipedia, titanium. Now, some of you might already be saying, but sir, Wikipedia is not a suitable source, and that's fine. It's okay, but let's go with abundance or something like that. Application, fabrication, history, compounds, characteristics, occurrence. Okay, so it is the 9th most abundant element on the Earth's crust by this percentage by mass. Now that's a claim made by someone, right? It's made by Barksdale. So we can click on and we can find out, firsthand where that claim is being made. But that's a way that you can approach it, right? So you can say that's where you can get your reference. But let's say, I just realized that whole thing was not on here. But okay, so I'll go through it again, and I say titanium abundance, right? And if I don't want to use Wikipedia, I could say it's elemental. Now, remember that the best sites are ones that have like a .gov at the end or a .edu, right? And the reason for that is because there is someone who has to answer a question when, if you put up something that says, hey, aliens are running the government, Iowa State University their reputation is on the line if someone makes that claim. And if we have the NIH, right, that's the National Center for Biotechnology Information, that's a government organization that is accountable. So that's a good indicator to say that something is carries some more weight. Now, with things, if things are really okay, so they're saying the Jefferson Lab, that's their source, right? So we could go even to here, and we can say how how much there is in the Earth's atmosphere. So that's where we could get our reference, the absolute abundance of titanium isotopes in nature. But let's say I've read this and I found the link that I specifically want to talk about, and even though it's from 1968, it's a little bit old. It's not really where we want to be with our references. So maybe we're going to go with PubChem. We might say we can go to here and we can say our reference. Now, it's true that you could say here, well, this JLab, right? JLab, that doesn't have a .edu, so that's okay. We can say, well, we're not going to rely on that. We're going to instead say that titanium is abundance. Whoops. We're going to go back to the organization that we do think is reliable. So we're going to say that they've made this claim, right? They've taken their source from Jefferson Lab, U.S. Department of Energy. But because they don't have a URL that I like, I'm going to go instead with... Now, the problem is it's not really the sentence I like. I do like the Wikipedia one where it says it's the 9th most abundant material. The fact is here, I have there's 600 million tons in the Earth's crust, right? So let's see if we can find that link. Probably helps if you spell things right. Titanium. Yeah, it looks like I've just taken it entirely from Wikipedia, but that's okay. Let's go see if we find that source again. So 23, the United States, that's a pretty reliable source. Yeah, the USGS is a good source, and we can say 600. Now, because the standard that I'm looking for in your assignment, right, this is not a assessment task, this is just a class task. I'm not necessarily looking for you to go to the level that you can actually find where it says, I don't need you to read every one of these documents. And to be honest, I personally have quite a lot of faith in Wikipedia. The point is that you can't reference in an assessment task Wikipedia. So although you really should be looking at the USGS, and we can't be affording to do this for literally every sentence, spending all this time, the thing you can do is you can say that this is the source that we've got, where approximately 95%, I wish I could see that line. Anyway, the estimated value of titanium material imported into the United States was this much. That's not tons, though. Anyway, there's definitely a source that you can get here pretty easily that we can add into our document. Maybe not specifically the line that we got from Wikipedia. Okay, so that is the idea that you should be looking at. If I want to refer to it as, say, a nice general statement would be good. Gone over time. That took a lot longer than I was hoping it would. Titanium abundance. Now, it's possible sometimes that we don't have a thing that ends in .edu.au, but we can say that we feel as though the Royal Society of Chemistry is reliable enough that we're going to use that as the source. Now, again, if we're doing especially a university level assessment task, you might actually want to go in and look at, is the Royal Society of Chemistry a real thing? Is it a real royal accredited society, right? Because I could call myself the Royal Society for Astrophysics, and I could just make that up, or maybe it doesn't really exist. So supply risk. What I just want to see is how many tons, usage and properties. So I can see this line here. Oh man, I just want a good answer, and I can see why this is why people just grab the thing off Wikipedia. Titanium is the 9th most abundant element on the Earth's crust. Okay. I'm going to put in that sentence. Now, because I'm not changing that sentence at all, I need to quote it. And so to do that, I need to put in a new citation. So I'm going to add in a new source. And my author is a corporate source. It is the USGS, right? So but I will need to find out what USGS stands for. I think it's like the United States Geological Survey or something like that. USGS. United States Geology Survey. Okay, so it's a corporate author. Name of the web page that we used was, well, that's the name, that's the URL. The name of the web page was Titanium. And the name of the website is the same. The year was, and we looked at it today, 2021, in July 26. Now that we've created that reference, we can now, there you go, it's automatically inserted it. And if we go down to our references, update. Okay. Now, yeah, that's probably as much as I'm willing to say on an open recording. So I'm just going to make this look like that. So I'm going to go to File, not File, Home, copy it and paste that here so that this at least looks the same. Okay, that's it. That's what I'm doing for today. See you, everyone.